Hello, this is my muddiest point from exercise C regarding our liberating structures reading. I personally did not have a lot of muddy points. I've maybe had a little bit of dirt that I could wash off, but not quite muddy. I feel pretty confident with a lot of what I read because I feel very familiar with quite a bit of it. I will say that some of the terminology is new. For example, talking about having our macro versus micro structures. I have had issues in my personal experience as a teacher with the setup of my classroom due to lack of newer resources, and especially with learning a new language, we talk quite a bit about communication, how you have to communicate a lot, and our desks are super old and small, and you can't quite cram them in this small room. It's an awkward shape, so I can never put my students in shapes that they can work together, so they have to be in rows due to this. And so I've thought quite a bit about microstructures without ever using that term. So it was very interesting to then think about this from rather my student mind, thinking about my students, versus now from a leadership mind of the teachers that I would be educating as well. Because there were a couple times as I was reading when I thought back on different meetings that we have had, or not necessarily meetings, more so professional learning opportunities. And we normally would be in our big theater room, and it's all very separate and very closed, and it feels kind of like rows, watching the presenter right up top. But then we had professional learning where they took us into a new part of our building in this small cozy corner where there was little circular tables, so everyone had to be facing each other. And they dimmed the lights and put little cute fairy lights out and made it really cozy. And those little details, everyone was like, oh, this is kind of nice. And there was little snacks everywhere, and they had little waters for us. And I remember that one really stood out. And I also remember what I learned that day quite a bit as well, from being in such an engaging environment. So with reading this, I think if anything, it affirmed things for me. The only thing that I would maybe say was the little dirt rather than mud would be knowing when to use certain protocols, what has the biggest bang for its buck. So there are times where different protocols can be used to tackle certain issues or objectives that we're trying to tackle. And I would want to make sure that as a principal that I'm being the most efficient, effective person I could possibly be. And that was just the only thing that kind of came up as a little question mark in my head of I wonder when would be the best for each of these. Although then in our other readings, there were times where it was kind of starting to sort and file that for me. So it would say, this is good protocols for our discussion and dialogue versus goals. So that kind of cleared up some of the dirt, if you will. So overall, definitely loved this lecture. It was good to dissect further.